Chapter 20. Peter.
"Where are we going?" I asked for the millionth time. Brooke had a weird energy to her that I didn't particularly care for as she wove through traffic. If Mr. Atkins could see her drive this thing, he wouldn't have the guts to trust her with it again. I don't know why I kept willingly climbing into the passenger seat. She ignored me, but tried to give me a small smile. I grabbed her hand to try and soothe her, shocked to find it was clammy with sweat. She pulled her hand away and wiped it on her jeans. "Peter, I know this whole thing with us is new, but I want you to swear that you won't be mad at me." I looked around, scanning the old dirt road and trees as they blurred by. "Are you bringing me to a secret facility to be a science experiment?" She chuckled, easing up a little bit. "No, I wouldn't do that." "Then I doubt I'll be mad," I explained. "Look, Brooke, you may do things to upset me someday, but I'll never hurt you, okay? I don't want you to be afraid of upsetting me and making the wolf come out." She shook her head and closed her eyes. I almost warned her to open them again to focus on the road. The words were about to escape my lips when she finally opened her eyes and spoke. "I'm not afraid of the wolf. I'm afraid of you, Peter, being upset or disappointed in me." My mind reeled, grasping for how to make sense of her words. "Are you with Jeff again?" "What?" she yelled, then started laughing hysterically. "No, why would you think that?" I shrugged. "How about you tell me what's really happening and stop making me guess?" She parked the car on the side of the dirt road next to a driveway and didn't say a word. The emotions on her usually clear face were unreadable. "Do you, know this place?" she asked, gesturing to the house off the road. I looked closely. "No. Should I?" "This is the address of the house that burned in what is referred to as the Murphy fire," she whispered. My eyebrows furrowed and my head snapped back around to look at the property. It definitely wasn't my house. This house was modern and angular with gray paneling. My house was rustic and wooden. The land looked different, too. It was overgrown in areas that used to be clean and manicured in places that used to be wild. The new owners had changed so much, but the land still had the bones of the place I used to call home. "Yeah," I breathed. "This is where my house was. Why did you bring me here?" "Peter, I hope you don't feel like I'm invading your privacy, but I hated the idea that you were carrying around that guilt with you. I had to find out what really happened that night." "I had to have killed them, Brooke," I argued, cutting her off. "I've accepted it. I just don't remember it." She grabbed my hand. "But you didn't, Peter. I'm sure of it. I dug deep into everything I could find about the fire. Your parents passed away in their sleep from carbon monoxide poisoning." "Then the wolf must have started the fire," I countered, feeling the world shift beneath me. "No. They proved that the fire was caused by faulty wiring in the kitchen," she said, her voice soft and gentle. "It was an accident, and there must not have been any smoke alarms to wake you all up." "They know that for sure?" I whispered. She nodded. "When your body wasn't found, many different theories came up. Some people thought that you must have been kidnapped, and that bad guys lit the fire as they were leaving. They had to prove that wasn't true before the case could be closed." My eyes widened. Did they find any evidence of me being alive? Of being the wolf? "No, Peter. They think you must have escaped the fire and died in the woods. No foul play was suspected, and the case was closed." I shivered, unsure of how to feel. My first reaction was not to trust her. She could have very well been lying to me to make me feel better. But as I looked in her eyes, I knew she was telling the truth. She bit her lip, terrified I was about to explode on her. "Please don't be angry with me," she whispered. "I didn't mean to overstep, and I feel like I did. But I want you to know that you're innocent. You don't have to carry around this burden any longer. I know you know that Peter is good, but the wolf is good too. Just like when you're cold and hungry, the wolf came out and protected you that night. The wolf saved your life. If it weren't for the wolf, you would have died from carbon monoxide poisoning that night too." My breathing became labored as the weight of this hit me. The wolf was not the villain in the story. The wolf was the hero. It made no difference at all in the grand scheme of things. My parents were dead. I was still cursed and alone. And yet it made all the difference in the world. I was good. The wolf was good. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. "Peter, please say something," she pleaded. I opened my mouth to say, "It wasn't my fault," but what came out instead was a small canine whine. My thick fur took up most of the car. Brooke started crying, but it wasn't from the fear of me. She felt responsible for my change, and I had no idea how to communicate to her that it was okay, that I was okay. I had changed in an instant, without seeing it coming or being able to calm down and stop it, and it didn't hurt. Twice in a row it didn't hurt, and I was still me. I lowered my head and put my forehead against hers. She closed her eyes and draped both arms around my neck, sobbing. I pulled back quickly and licked the tears off her face. "What?" she giggled, wiping the snot off her nose with her arm. "What are you doing?" I repeated the same gesture on the other side of her face and tried my best to smile through my panting. "You're okay?" she asked. I closed my mouth and nodded seriously. "You're not mad at me?" she clarified. I shook my head no and licked her one more time. She started laughing again, and I thought everything would be okay until her face went white when she glanced in the back mirror. "Duck down," she whispered, putting the car in drive and speeding away. I wanted to ask her what she saw, but the question was too complex for my current modes of communication. "Crawl in the back and lay down," she ordered me. "I'm going to have to cut through town, and I don't want anyone to see you." I obeyed like a good dog, but was angry at being treated like one. I felt a strange sensation in the air once we made it to the busier parts of town. I made a low whine, hoping she would tell me what was going on. "It's Robert Geller," she explained. "He has a gun strapped to his back." I growled softly. "I can't bring you back to the woods tonight, Peter. I can't risk them finding you," she said. I didn't think we had other options. When she put the car in park and turned it off, I realized what she planned to do. She turned around and sighed when she met my eyes. "Peter, I see that crazy look in your eye. Don't you dare bolt off into the forest as soon as I open your door. Do you hear me? It would be an extreme betrayal of my trust. Do not run from me. Got it?" I hoped she could see that my eyes narrowed as I nodded. I did not like this new attitude she possessed, thinking she could order me around because I couldn't talk. She opened the car door to let me out, and I stayed by her side. She smiled and touched my face with tenderness and affection. "Thank you," she said. "I'm only trying to take care of you. I promise." We walked side by side to the backyard, but I started walking slower when I realized we were approaching the door. When she opened it, I shook my head and started backing up. I couldn't sleep inside. I hadn't slept inside since that night, boy or wolf. "Peter, I know it's weird, okay, but I have to make sure you're safe. Please," she pleaded. I shook my head again and backed up farther. I would not go inside. I would not sleep inside. I would not. She sighed and walked back to the car, rolling down the windows. "Sleep in here, then," she said. "I'll bring you supper when it's done and some old clothes of Charles's for when you change back. Can you get in and out on your own?" I looked at the size of the window, unsure. Taking a deep breath, I tried to hone in my jumping instincts without losing my human self and plunged through the window. A couple of my hairs got snagged, but otherwise it went rather smoothly. I trotted around to face her, proud of myself. She came to the window and held my face. "I'm serious, Peter. Don't go into the woods as a wolf. It isn't safe. I'll come and check on you every once in a while, and you better still be here. Promise me." I licked her face again, and she smiled.